Did well the first time, nothing he could do about the follow-up.
Well, that's not the best attempt by the keeper, and he's just paid the ultimate price, hasn't he?
Hello and welcome to our Pro Evolution Soccer 2017 review here on Games Radar. My name is James and I'm joined by Ben Wilson, who has played the game extensively. That's right, Ben?
I certainly have, and I very much enjoyed it.
Okay, well, let's get straight in to the questions then. The one everyone wants to know, is this the best Pro Evolution Soccer ever made?
It is categorically the best Pro Evolution Soccer ever made. I think it's the game that those who played it in the PS2 era and have maybe lapsed away through the PS3 and the early PS4 days have been dreaming of for 10 years. I think it does everything it used to do so well. It has a great sense of individuality, whether it's players, whether it's teams, whether it's just incidents that happen in matches. There's just a really good vibe to it in the sense of it recreating real football.
Okay, well, I guess the question then is, it's always going to be compared to FIFA. Has it done enough in your mind to get a head start on it? Because it's out before this year.
That's right, it's out a fortnight beforehand. Obviously, I've been playing PES for a fortnight. FIFA, we had a hands-on event earlier this year, and it's actually gone quite quiet on that front. So I wouldn't be able to say categorically that it's a FIFA-beater. I'm really excited to see what FIFA does this year, but I certainly think it has the upper hand. It's the first time probably in about 10 years that we've reached the sort of start of the new real football season, and the virtual game to watch has been PES. Whether that holds up, we'll see in due course. But yeah, there's loads of stuff to like about it. They've done a really good job of just breaking the game down back to the fundamentals. So, for instance, last year in PES 2016, the dribbling, if you look really close at the dribbling, there was a sort of judderiness to it. This year, that's completely gone. The ball is its own separate entity. It behaves like an actual football. I know that sounds like a madman speaking, but as you can see from these images, it just does. And that means that you can not only have fun running at a defender with the football, at full pelt with R1 held down if you're playing on PS4, but also you can have great fun and real skill just trapping the ball in midfield, stepping around a sort of, opponent's tackles, etc. You just feel in control at all times, and coupled to that is like there's an effortlessness to the passing. There's a real sort of pop, a real zing to the shooting. I'm using silly words here, but again, it's really hard to kind of put it into words, the organic feel of it all. But I think it is a really, really strong game, and certainly if people do want to experiment coming back to it from FIFA, I think at this juncture they'll be surprised and very happy.
Those are the kind of things that you can't really get just by looking at the gameplay, but it's when you're playing it that those kind of things come to fruition, isn't it?
Exactly that. It's the sensation. It's how it feels, and you can see how it looks on screen. Like they've improved the graphics again. There's a few kind of like Thomas the Tank Engine faces in there. So what I mean is like kind of in the build up when you watch the intro screens, when you watch the national anthems, sometimes the players' sort of eyes can dart around a bit, like kind of that's a bit strange. But the likenesses, as you can see here, Ronaldo, Messi, all the key players are spot on, and just you get that sense of physicality, not just from sort of playing the game and going up headers and things like that, but you can see it as well. It's when you've got your Olivier Giroud and so forth, they carry themselves with a weight, as you can see from these images.
Okay, well, I'm going to fire some words at you now, and it's just like some statements that are related to the game. So, keepers.
Keepers are much improved. They still make the odd mistake, but of course they should make the odd mistake because the idea is that they are human, that they are lifelike. And so there have been a couple of goals where I've sort of felt a bit cheaty, where maybe I've fired a shot at goal, the keeper's kind of got his hand to it, but not got enough on it to tip it around the post, and I've been able to tap in the rebound. But to the same end, I haven't found, from a defensive standpoint, that when the AI players or we played a couple of games have been shooting at me, that I have this sort of distrust of the keeper. In previous PESs, there was always this sense that it was going to script a keeper mistake for the most inopportune time. For this game, I really feel that the balance is there. In fact, I'd say there's times where you'll go down the wing and fire a ball across the 6-yard box, and the keeper sort of seems to claim 95% of those, and that can actually be quite frustrating because they're the sort of balls in real life that keepers have tremendous difficulties dealing with, and kind of seeing them, like seeing the force field, as we used to call it in both these games, return to an extent is frustrating. But they are so much better than they used to be.
Okay, my next word was going to be fouls, but let's tone it down to tackling.
Tackling, well, as you know, James, I'm a man who loves a tackle, both in real life and in FIFA and PES. And yeah, one of the criticisms of PES 2016, very justifiably, was that refs used to A, not give enough fouls, and B, everything they did give was a yellow card. This year they're a bit more petty, like kind of they give some soft stuff, I think, just to up the number of free kicks.
Okay.
But at the same time, they probably scaled back the yellow cards. So you end up like, I think the average for me is maybe a yellow card or two per game and maybe one from the opposition. If anything, like the computer could lunge in more, probably there's times where if you're running with, again, like a really fast player or really skillful player like Messi or Neymar, there's probably times that you think in real life they would commit a bit more. If you're Chelsea, just dive in and clatter them. But generally, I think the refs again are like the goalkeepers. They've made concerted effort to improve them, and for the most part, it's worked.
While we're on that subject, there's something about the yellow cards this year that they've changed from last year's version, right?
Well, no,
How
it's
they're
not changed from last year.
displayed.
I think it's the same as last year, unless there's a sort of mysterious setting, and I've been through every setter I can find to change this. You can't actually tell when one of your players has been booked. So I've had like 4 or 5 players sent off over the 2 weeks I've been playing it, because there's no on-screen way of denoting that one of your players is on a yellow card.
I guess in real life you don't get that, do you?
I guess you don't. I guess you have to remember. It's
Yeah.
all part of the managerial or player discipline.
Okay, adaptive AI.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a new feature this year. I can't say I've seen too much of it, being honest. But what I will say is that you don't really need adaptive AI for the game to feel continually fresh. So, every team you play against, whether it's on a club level or international level, they have their own strengths and weaknesses, their own little foibles. You play as an international team. If you play against Germany, they have Hummels and Boateng at the back. They just shut things down. You don't get much space of them, even with the best players. But then when they break up field, they've got really fast interchange play. They've got great, they've got strength and power throughout that team. They're a really tough side to play against. You really get that sense of 11 physical men who are also very good on the ball. Whereas when you play a team like, say, France, they're maybe not necessarily as physical, but in players like Griezmann, they've got overlapping wing backs. They still got the strength of Giroud up front, but there's a much more mixed bag of tactics you have to deal with, again, like, you then distill that down to club level with the hundreds of teams in the game. You can play like a Barca and get passed off the pitch. You can play like Chelsea and get powered off the pitch. Or you can play like a League 2, Division 2 English or French team that likes to sort of hit long diagonal balls in behind, really utilise a target man. The variation I can express for you perfectly by the fact that I'm playing a Master League as a French team called Bourg-en-Bresse, and the first few games of the season I thought I'd perfected this like Tony Pulis style 4-2-3-1 formation, where basically it just soaked up every long ball, and I had 5 or 6 wins in a row. And I went away to the league leaders, RC Lens, and got creamed 4-1 because they just passed me off the pitch, and my system wasn't set up at all to deal with their style of play. And by the time I was 2-0 down at half time, it was too late to change it. And that kind of variation is something I don't think you've seen enough of from both PES or FIFA in the past. Whether it was Real Madrid or Rotherham, everyone played the same way.
All right, well, that sounds great. We probably shouldn't do a PES review without mentioning Master League, so a quick bit of info on that.
Yeah, it's really good. The magic of Master League for me in the past was being able to take this fictional team, and long-time PES players will remember names like Valerie and Espinas and Castello, and be able to sort of take those fictional players and turn them into superstars, to the point that it was actually quite heartbreaking to farm those players out and bring real ones in. For me, the purity of that is diluted somewhat now, because you can actually take real squads and play the mode. And so if you're taking Barcelona with their array of glittering talent, like, what is there to achieve? Where can you take them? For me, that's not the way I play it this year. I've gone back to basics. The sort of how I played it on PES is 3-6, where I use the fictional lineup, and I'm sort of working my way up from the bottom of the French Division 2. And I've got these names like Castlemine and Coutinho, not the Liverpool Coutinho, a rubbish Coutinho, right, that basically I'm gradually building up. My signings have been like, I signed a Vietnamese kid who scored the winner away at Marseille in the Cup, and he's now like a cult hero in my mind. And there's loads of little features that have expanded upon obviously what happened 10 years ago, but still keep it really simple. So, for instance, when you go to make a transfer, you can't put in your transfer bid. You get told the price and the fee. The price. You get told the transfer fee and the wages, and you can decide whether you want to risk bringing it down, like the fee or the wages, and it'll tell you a percentage chance of that happening, or whether you stick with it. And obviously, if it says for you, like, 60% chance of bringing the wages down, you click that button and then you don't get it, that's the deal dead. So there's a real fun risk reward element there. And the other great thing is that now when you cycle through looking for transfer targets, every player in the game, you don't see like a picture like you used to in FIFA or PES. You actually see their in-game likeness.
Okay.
So you know who's got a real face in the game. And like for me, I went for this mad period on FIFA, which will probably continue on PES if this is going to be my game this year, where I only want to sign players with real faces. The visual fidelity these days is great, and I think there's a real difference between the real ones and the generic ones. And yeah, having that option in the game, it's a masterful piece of design.
Performances I've seen in a
All right,
while.
then,
He's
finally
practically
then,
taken
Ben,
on
in
this team
summary,
single-handedly.
what are you going to
They
give
don't know how to
PES
stop him.
2017?
4.5 stars. I think the only thing that holds back is presentation, which we haven't really touched on. Just the generic stadia. There's not enough real stadia in the game. You can edit elements of stadiums. You can change like the goal nets and the colours of the crowd seats and things like that, which is nice. But it just still doesn't have that presentational edge that the likes of MLB The Show and the likes of FIFA have. Other than that, it is a fantastic return to form for like a long revered series, and I really, really think that old fans and new are going to love this year's game.
Okay, well that's our review of Pro Evolution Soccer 2017. For more games, news, reviews, previews and features, keep it here.
The protest continues, but in the end they are...